Senator Warnick, if you just want to give a little background of yourself and some more info on what you've been working on, that would be awesome. And then we can go right into questions.
Okay, so I have the title of tonight is Recreation and Hospitality. Is that correct? Are most people?
And tourism.
And tourism. Okay. Okay. Well, we already talked a little bit about the Main Street program, but I've represented the 13th since, oh yeah, Tom's coming on here. He said, sorry, yes, but I've represented the 13th and Kittitas County since 2006. And prior to that, I was, like I said, I was on the fair board. Whoops, just a second. He's calling me. Why is he calling me? Okay, just a second. I don't know how to do it. Yeah, he's trying to do a FaceTime call with me. And I don't know how to answer those.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I have an Android, so I can't.
Yeah, so I don't know how to do that.
Just tell him to go sit on his fence post and have a cold beer.
Yeah, no, he won't do that. But yeah, so call. Zoom call. Yeah. Yeah, he, oh, I don't know. I'll just call him directly, but anyway, so this same thing happened the other night. Hi, Tom. It's a Zoom call with Kittitas Chamber. Oh, okay. Yeah, I told him, yeah. Okay, well, I told him you had something going, so, okay, I'll take notes. Okay, all right, okay, bye. He, yeah, he's gonna get on in a few minutes. So, anyway, so, yeah, I've got a background in fair board member, 4-H, small business myself, and then farm background, and that's kind of both the small business and the farm is what got me interested in being a legislator, and that was in 2006, and I'm still here. I can't believe it. So, and I was the first woman chamber president in Moses Lake. So didn't many really mean that to be that, you know, groundbreaking, but I was. So going into, I thought maybe I'd talk a little bit about the bills that I have that might be of interest. We had a very large budget. I don't know if you've seen it in the paper, but $59 billion budget is what passed this year. That's $5 billion more than what we've had over the past biennium. It says I'm a little bit unstable, so I might have to turn my picture off, but because I'm trying to call from home. But I had a bill that passed all-terrain vehicles, has to do with ATVs and converting them to snowmobiles. People from the Kittitas County Snowmobiles Organization supported that bill, asked for that bill. It changes snow or ATVs. You add some type of a device around the wheels to make it into a snowmobile. So there he is. But and then the other one is that it's the bill payment in lieu of taxes. for land that is public land, fish and wildlife, and that type of thing. That bill got passed. And then we had really good luck with our capital budget funding, with our community forest, and quite a bit of work done with the RCO Recreational Conservation Office, and supporting youth facilities, Crab Creek, Nanum Creek, Coleman Creek, and so quite a bit of that. And you know, the recreation, we saw that with last year's COVID. People were just, I gotta get outside, I gotta go outside. And so by being outside, they came over to our side of the mountains, in some ways more than we wanted. But you can see how important outdoor recreation and tourism is to people and to the people that provide it. So hopefully, well, I know for a fact that Kittitas County was able to keep people safe, keep their own residents safe, and keep their visitors safe due to the numbers. So I'm going to let Tom talk a little bit, and then if there's questions, specific questions that you have regarding bills that passed, you know, through regarding tourism, small business, and that type of thing. So, Tom, are you ready?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Anyway, good evening, everybody. I straight up front here, I'll apologize for being late. I hadn't realized it's been added to my schedule because I had scheduled out today all day, because every now and then I have to stop and work on the ranch, and I needed to haul buffalo. So I've been down to Colfax and all points in between moving animals around today. So I just kind of pulled into the driveway when Senator Warnick sent me a text, "Are you joining the call?" And I thought, huh? What call? So I looked on my schedule. I says, "Oh no!" So I hurried in the house here to luckily I have my iPad here at home, so I can use it. But anyway, thank you. I assume we're talking about some of our legislative wins.
Oh, there.
So you can hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So probably the most important one, well, it was several, I guess. You know, we had some wins this year. I know we had some losses and feeling bad about some things.
Kind of keeps freezing up, Tom.
I'm breaking out.
Yeah, it's you're freezing up.
Oh, I'm freezing up.
Freezing up.
That's, okay, we'll try this, see if it's any better. I don't know if I can
Which
get any
happens.
better. Huh?
That happens often with everybody.
But can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, if I need to change something, let me know and I'll turn the video off. So probably be better with the video off anyway. And just looking. Yeah, everything should be working. So anyway, we did have some wins this year. And still okay, right? We're okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, several things that may be beneficial for Kittitas County. One is we were able to put the CARB bill, the CARB thing in statute, and that's the Community Airport Loan Committee, which has to do with making loans to small airports, and which Bowers Field will fit into. And these are loans that could be used for economic development. So with the grant program, we, from the Washington State Department of Transportation for our small airports, you cannot use this grant money for anything such as economic development. It's only for airport infrastructure. But this loan program will work for that. And many of our airports in the state in the last 2 years have taken advantage of it and built some structure, put in some infrastructure that the grant money doesn't work for, in order to bring more industry onto their airports to work at making their small airports more sustainable for the community. Because, you know, reality of it is an airport is the gateway of the community, and you won't grow a lot if you don't have a reasonable airport. That's kind of the way it works. So Ellensburg, Bowers Field is a good airport, and it's going to grow. It's had a couple of hiccups, but we're working on fixing that. And I've been working with Senator Murray's office too, and hopefully we can get some federal infrastructure money into the airport as well as other things in Kittitas County. No promises, but I've been trying to sell it as much as I can so we can improve that situation. But that loan program is now in statute. It operated through the capital budget for the past 2 years, and it's been very, very popular. I think we had, in the last 2 years, we had 35 applicants for loans, and I think we made like, I don't know, 11, something like that, and used up the $5 million we had. So we put it into statute, and we also got another $5 million out of the capital budget to fund the program for the next 2 years. So our goal is to eventually have $25 million invested in this program, and this money is paid back. So, we can start rolling that over, and, it will grow. Hopefully it will grow as the future, it will go into the future. So, that was a big win for aviation, and then hopefully it'll be good for our field.
Tom, you might take your video off because you keep freezing up.
It is kind of cold in here.
There.
Okay.
Now try talking without.
Well, now you won't know if I'm freezing up or not. So
Yeah, we'll tell you.
Okay, you'll tell me. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, another thing that, I'll talk about aviation here for a minute because that's something where I had my most wins this year.
Oh,
But
well, maybe it's me. Raylene said, maybe I'll take mine off. Yeah,
so I might have to stop now for a while.
I'm gonna take my video
Go
off.
on, Tom. She's
Just
just
to
gonna
see.
darken her screen because she's getting weak on her broadband.
Yeah,
Okay, how about, now you can still hear me okay?
Absolutely.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So, we have aviation caucus in Olympia. We have it once a month, and people, interested in aviation, legislators interested, and as well as stakeholders attend this. And with the very well attended caucus meeting, we'll have anywhere from 50 to 80 people come in, and we have it at 7 o'clock in the morning. So that limits some of the people that even come. Some people don't know that we have things happen at 7 in the morning. You guys know that, but. So after I've been going ever since I was elected, and after our first one this year, I'm thinking, well, I was going to the second one, actually the second month, and we're at the meeting, and I'm thinking, we talk about a lot of things we could do in aviation, and incidentally, I'll throw this out there first. Aerospace and aviation account for $108 billion a year in our state. That's the industry, $108 billion a year. Okay, that includes aerospace, aviation, everything from the guy teaching people how to fly up Bowers Field to the parts we make that are sitting on Mars today. Okay, and we do have parts up there on that Land Rover or whatever they call it. So I'm thinking, we talk about all this good stuff every month, but then next month we talk about it again. And what we need is some kind of a committee to help advise the legislature on how we can improve this industry in the state of Washington, because we have some of the brightest people in our state that are in this industry. And I'm thinking we need an advisory committee, an aerospace aviation / advisory committee, right? So I put together a bill, and I was actually planning on putting it out there for next year. That was my plan, to start working on it, talk to stakeholders, perfect it, and work on it next year because this year was so difficult. And I shared it with some stakeholders, and they immediately fell in love with it and said, Tom, you need to do that this year. And I said, I don't think I'm ready yet. Drop the bill, Tom. And so several of them did. They were pushing me to do it. So I dropped the bill, and I swear the whole state fell in love with it. It's the most popular bill I've ever put together. And but we dropped it a little bit too late to get a hearing. And the chairman of the committee actually signed on as co-sponsor to the bill, the chairman of the committee where the bill would be heard is for the hearing. And she said, Tom, I'd love to hear the bill, but I just can't make it work for you. But it's a great bill. So I decided that we can do things called a proviso. And if there's a financial cost to something, then we can amend the budget, or we can attach it to the budget, and it'll be there for 2 years. So and it takes money to have a committee like this, because you have to have somebody has to staff it, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, but it costs some. So went ahead and I put together a proviso in the budget and amended it on the House Budget and Appropriations Committee. And it snagged right on. There wasn't any problem getting it amended. And then when the two budgets came together, or it went across the floor of the House too, but when the Senate budget and House budget came together, somehow it was lost. So, which actually worked out pretty well, because we rewrote what the proviso was, because by that time we'd done more research, and thinking about how to perfect this. It takes a while sometimes to perfect what you want. And we rewrote it, and with a little bit of luck, and Senator Rolfus liked the proviso and agreed to work to put it in the budget, and we've got it in the budget. So we're now going to have an aerospace/aviation advisory committee that's, and we have it kind of specific, spelled out who's going to serve on this committee. And we're going to have some of the brightest business people, aviation people, aerospace people are going to be on this committee to advise the Department of Commerce, and it's going to live in Department of Commerce, so where the committee will live, and advise on how we can bring new industry in this sector into the state of Washington, which will be a lot. So I'm going to give you an example of what that could look like. There are 5 companies currently in the United States that are working on designing supersonic passenger aircraft. And there's no reason they can't be in the state of Washington. And we just have to figure out how we entice them and get them here. And that would be a big deal. That would be a super big deal. So that was another win that I had. And then another thing that really pertains that for this year, it will pertain to Kittitas County, is, there was a lawsuit from, I think, with Kittitas County filed against the state of Washington Department of Transportation over the noxious weed issue. And some issues about WSDOT, Department of Transportation was not paying their assessment for noxious weeds. Well, to take care of these noxious weeds, if you're not involved in agriculture, you probably don't think much about it. But the bottom line is noxious weeds are kind of a bad deal. And in your cropland, you get a noxious weed into your crop, and then it's just more difficult to sell. And that would be an example of your Timothy hay that is exported. And that's a very valuable crop you have in Kittitas County. And you start planting Canadian thistles out there, or knapweeds, or things like this into that noxious, it's not going to go export. They're not going to take it because they just can't, and they don't want those weeds in other countries. And sometimes they don't even want them in other states. We also have laws about noxious weeds. If you just go right up on Forest Service land, if you were to go up there by 7 Sac and go right, if you're up there to camp, you need to have clean hay, certified hay. So the noxious weed thing is a bigger deal than most people realize. And what we've done with this noxious weed bill, it's something we've been working on for 3 years, and Senator Warnick has helped me with this as well. But we cleaned up the noxious weed language within the RCWs, but we also put it together on how we can assess state agencies like Department of Transportation, how we can assess their parcels that are in the county, such as I-90, right? And we can take care of some of this stuff because the Department of Transportation has not been real good about doing this. And there's been a big contention between Department of Transportation and the Noxious Weed Board in Kittitas County, as well as other counties. So that's kind of a big win. And last year the bill didn't get anywhere. I mean, we had a hearing, but there was still a lot of issues with it, and came back and worked on it all through the interim and through the fall, and actually into the early parts of the session. I actually worked on it all through the session until we finally got it off the Senate floor. So it was a very, very, very well worked bill, and it should be good for everybody in agriculture all across the state. But most importantly, it's a big win for Kittitas County because they kind of started this, and we came back, and there were folks in Kittitas County who were involved in the stakeholder group to rewrite this. So I think we did well with that. The governor hasn't signed it yet, but it's on his desk, and it's funded through the Department of Transportation. So there shouldn't be any reason why he won't sign it. So anyway, there was some wins that I had. The virtual session was not necessarily much fun. It was very hard. Politics is relationships, and it's hard to have a relationship on a Zoom call like this. It's hard to read people. It's hard to visit. It's hard to have that personal touch. And I think the most difficult part was, we work with other members of the legislature. We talk about our bills. We talk about where we want things to go. We educate each other. You can't know everything, and nobody can. So spend a lot of time talking to them. A lot of those conversations happen in the halls of the office building, maybe in the elevator, in the stairwell. We have a lot of conversations in the stairway because usually the people in the stairway are usually legislators. Other folks don't take the stairs. So it's a time for us to catch up or share some ideas, or when we're on the floor. And when we're on the floor, it's, you can walk over to another representative's or senator's desk and just talk to them, and especially in the House, we vote electronically in the House. So by the time we go on the floor to vote, we know how we're going to vote. And I leave my vote list on my desk, and my desk mate will vote for me if I'm across the aisle talking with somebody else. So that's how we work out a lot of things. And when there's bills or contentious issues, we have a chance to work together to make something better for everybody. And it didn't work virtually. It was hard to get a hold of people, hard to talk to people. I get 2 or 3 members that I talked to a lot on the other side, and that was good. But there were 10 new members on the other side. I've never met them in person. It's hard to work with them because they don't know who I am and I don't know who they are. And we had 7 new members on our side, and I knew a couple of them, kinda, and the rest of them I've never met. So it was even harder on our own side to work with people, and because there's a lot to this. And I mean, Sherry, this, how you get to know people and build those relationships, and so you kind of know where people are coming from, and then you know how to sit down with them and visit with them. So that part was very, very difficult, but I hope we don't have to do this again ever again. I miss the people, the personal touch and the contact to represent you folks. That's my job, is to represent you, and I'm very passionate about doing that. So that being said, I guess Senator Warnick was right. We had some good wins in the capital budget arena. We did very well. A couple of them kind of surprised me how they ended up, but I'm not complaining. When you get the kind of win that we got on capital budget, I'm not going to say no, we didn't want that, take it back, right? You just don't do that. So, because that's not how it works. And
you never heard from me this year, Tom and Judy. I didn't have a request.
Yeah, but
you got a break from Sherry.
Yeah, but the reason being is because you couldn't come and see us. See, you could have came to Moses. You could have came to Moses Lake and saw me in my office at Moses Lake. Because I would have let you in. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate your recap on that, Representative Dent, and I totally agree with the virtual disconnect with your elected officials. I'm glad to know you felt the same as what the constituents were feeling. It's just, even with my work with the USO, and we were going through Senator Kaiser and different things because that's the district that represents the USO. It was just, we were just all so removed, and we came back to the USO board and said, we don't even feel we're effective. It was just not the best experience for us. So we're looking forward to being in the halls and having high fives and sidebar conversations with different lobbyists that would even say, so what are you guys doing down here? Hey, I love that. I'll mention that when I'm doing my other things. You just missed all those touch points of communication with just a lot of people. So thank you for sharing that. I hope we go back to being in Olympia.
Well, thank you, Sherry. I appreciate that, and I miss people. I mean, one of the reasons I do this is because I like people, and I miss the people part, and you just learn so much more in face-to-face meetings. And I tell everybody, aviation was my career, but I did a lot more than sit in the seat of a spray plane. When I started out my career, and off and on, I provided executive transportation. I was an executive pilot, and why they have those kind of airplanes? It was nothing to hop in the airplane with the boss because he wanted to go to San Francisco or Phoenix or Denver, and we'd fly there and we'd have a 30-minute meeting with somebody, stay overnight and fly back. And it's because the face-to-face contact is so important, and you read body language, you read people, you build a relationship, and it's that's how it works, and it works on both sides. So that was a part that I really missed, was not being able to have that. And I intend to be out and about more. I'm fully vaccinated. I've had COVID. I'm fully vaccinated, so I'm not worried about getting it or giving it. If you want me to come and do anything, I'm there. And so I got to sneak in.
I don't know if he's still talking. Okay, I'm going to jump in real quick just to let you know. Rep Dent reminded me of when he talked about his aviation caucus. There is an actual outdoor recreation caucus in Olympia as well, and they meet during the interim, not so much with the legislators, but they meet during session every week to go over the bills. And it's another one of those early morning ones, same time as Rep. Dent's Aviation Caucus. And so I can't do both. So I let him take care of the aviation, and then I do the outdoor rec. And Representative Andrew Barkus is the co-chair on that. And I'm the co-chair. And it's really cool to see the agencies, all the different entities about recreation. We've got backcountry horsemen, we got bicyclists, we've got hikers, and trying to figure out how to keep outdoor recreation going in the state of Washington and funded. And so, and follow the bills that are going through that could impact.
So Senator Warnick, on that note,
interesting to see what people kind of gravitate towards. I do that because I've always enjoyed outdoor rec, and my district is it's important to our district, especially Kittitas County. So that's why I am involved. But
so Senator Warnick, since you're co-chair on that, what is your take on the tribes of the state of Washington, not just in our region, but just when it comes to recreation, outdoor and recreation? Are the tribes engaged a lot?
They have been.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yes, and we had a presentation. If you're asking about tribes, I had to turn my picture off again.
Yeah.
If you're asking about the tribe involvement, they have been very involved, especially with their young people, and teaching survival skills, teaching their young people the benefits of being outside, because their children, their young people are just like ours. They'd rather sit on the sofa and play an outdoor game with a computer than they would be outside. And so we had some really good presentations from a couple of tribal schools from the west side about what they do. So yes, they've been involved, very much so. Anybody else?
Representative Warnick, or Senator Warnick, I'm sorry. I just wanted to jump in and say, if you're ever looking for,
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, sorry. Anyhow, I just wanted to jump in and say that if you're ever interested in recreation information to try to help support, your understanding of what's going on, I do recreation mapping. We have RCO uses our data as the basis for all the statewide analysis. But I'm always more than happy. I can do reports if you want to know how many miles of horse trails in your district, or how many boat launches that are owned by the state, or any other question. I'm more than happy to do that for anybody in the legislature who's involved in any aspect of recreation. We really like to help support a better understanding of recreation opportunities and gaps.
That's fantastic. I'd like to talk to you about that. We tried to get a proviso through that would do that, and to help with the mapping. And
Right.
So fantastic. I will do that.
Jennifer, who do you do that for?
It's my own business. So I realized that nobody was doing it. We have over 18,000 records. We have everything from the smallest pocket park to the biggest state park. We do city, county, public, private, tribal. We do recreation maps and apps that communities can pay to be on. We've got a really cool project now where we're creating a map that highlights communities and cities and tours and events, and then has all of the recreation so that you can start to see chains. You could say, coming out of Seattle, I can do this scenic road, I can stop in this town, I can go to that event. In fact, I was just talking to Ellensburg, they're coming in, so they're going to be bringing all of their businesses. So you start and you see Ellensburg, and then when you zoom in, you can see everything in the historic downtown.
Can you put your business and your contact info in chat for me?
Yeah, I just did that.
I think she did.
Oh, did she?
But we have fun.
Washington, or Jennifer at WashingtonHometown.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, I love helping participate. I don't take sides on what recreation is better. I actually work with the people who are pushing through the bill that you mentioned with the conversion on the snowmobiles, but I'm just a big
Yeah.
believer that it's hard to have a conversation if you don't have the information. And the state agencies and the federal agencies really aren't equipped to, they're not only not equipped to manage other people's recreation data, they don't even generally have a very good handle on their own. And so we've come in and
Right.
tried to fill in that piece. And we work with RCO, we've provided data for DOT for studies, but having a single pool of data that's been validated and improved that everybody can use.
That's amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you for sharing that. And I can probably assume that you've been doing a lot of computer work before COVID, right? You've been where you're at with that job.
Yeah. For me,
You've been in front of a screen longer than the most of us.
yeah, no, I've worked from home. I did a master's in resource management at Central, got that degree in 2009. And then outside of doing some teaching, I decided I wanted to see what I could do myself. So I've worked up closely with the local chamber and so I was in some ways better positioned than a lot of people because I was always virtual. And we were able, during COVID, we were actually able to create maps that showed the current status of all recreation in the entire state because of the way we capture our data. So I could go through and I could say, okay, if all state land is closed, then let me change the status of every single thing that's owned by the state. Or King County was closed, Seattle had some that was open. And so we spent a lot of last year just trying to go by, and as things reopen, place by place, this campground isn't open and this is. But because we had the data that nobody else has, we could actually tell those stories and really let people see what was available and what wasn't, because getting outdoors was so critical last year.
So there's two ladies from the Kittitas area that have written a book about horse trails. And I think it's Grab Your Tails and Ride the Trails or something. And I can't remember their names. It's been a while because I bought one of their books and haven't been able to ride the trails, but that was so interesting. It was a book that you could throw in your saddlebag and just take with you. And it was specifically for horse trails and fantastic.
Yeah, so we do a web map that's specifically for horse trails, and then we have an app that has all summer recreation. So on the app, you can download it and you can filter by horses, and on the web map, we can do different versions for different activities. But it's amazing. And this county is really rich in the range of different kinds of recreation we offer. So one of the things for us that I'm always interested is how do we get people to realize that you can actually go hiking somewhere other than Mount Si. And if you come into Kittitas County, we'll let you hike on our trails, but why don't you stop off on our businesses while you're here? And so how do you do those two pieces together? How do you promote responsible recreation and how do you support local economies?
Yeah. I see Renee Ogan was one of the writers. That's fantastic. I gotta get out there.
Yeah,
Look
well,
at those.
check out the map. We have all the horse map has all the horse trails, it has all the horse camps, and it codes everything by whether or not motorized is allowed, since you don't really want to be riding your horse on an ATV trail.
No, that's true.
Well, we're coming over for a trail ride sometime here with that lady from up there in the Tianaway, Judy. Wyckoff, Mrs. Wyckoff. So
Martha,
Martha, yes.
Yeah.
So we have a trail ride plan. So we don't have the date set, but we're planning on doing it. So
sounds good.
Is that for the Tianaway Community Forest and all the other?
Yeah.
She's amazing.
Lieutenant Governor wants to go on a trail ride. He told me that. He said that's on his bucket list. So we're going to get him up there too. Yeah.
Oh, cool. That'll be a good time to lobby for something for Kittitas County. So.
Yeah. Like to find
any other questions?
Recreation plan.
Yeah. Any other questions that people might have? That how to get businesses people to stop off at your business when they're visiting. Any ideas on that?
Well, for Roslyn, we've got a list of businesses wanting to come into Roslyn. And we're putting in motion with the RDA, our Main Street in Forterra, building a replica. The first architectural drafts are absolutely astonishing. And we're going to build a replica of the historical foundry. And that will incubate up to 12 businesses.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, so we'll break ground
Cool.
hopefully on the foundry next year. So look forward for some help on the capital side with that. We're writing some grants now, and Katie is partnering with us on this, and we'll be doing some fundraisers up there, but we'll need to
Yeah.
come back for some capital support on that. And then Judy, on the attainable housing, we should have our first draft concepts by August that we'll be reaching out with you and sharing with you what that looks
Good.
like.
that'd be great. So,
Yeah. In fact, we probably would, if you would like, we're doing community meetings. We had over 60 participants at the last vision meeting. So if you would like to have an invite just to sit in on the community meeting as they talk about economic development, recreation, tourism, and attainable housing, we'd be more than happy to extend that invitation to you for the next meeting in June.
yeah,
Okay.
it would be interesting to hear that, Sherry. Can't promise I could be there, but it would be really interesting
Sure.
if
Well,
I
we'll
could
just
be.
at least keep you in the loop
Right.
as we're going forward
Yeah.
like that anyway.
Yeah. So I didn't mention something early on. That's something I was kind of passionate about, but been working on this for kind of 3 years, I
I
guess.
am really having a hard time with my,
Can you hear me, Judy?
She's
Can anybody
probably
else hear me?
fading out. Yeah, I can hear you fine, but
Okay.
Judy's just got a weak signal.
Anyway, something I've worked on for the past 3 years off and on is the agriculture sector has the highest suicide rate of any sector in the country. And it's something that's kind of look at working on how we can improve on that and maybe solve some issues. And I did have a bill this year that was directly related to agricultural suicide. It was an ag mental health and suicide line. It would be put together differently than maybe a suicide or a mental health crisis line in an urban area, because most of us folks that live in rural areas are a little different. You know, we're more independent. We suck it up, buttercup, and go do it, and we get along, right? And that's reality. But there was another bill out there this year, 988 bill, which was co-sponsored by Tina, or prime sponsored by Tina Orwell. That bill was moving. Mine wasn't. She was a co-sponsor of mine. So we did amend her bill to include an agriculture rural work group, and because a lot of what her bill is going to be about is working through and how we can provide this service to people. And so we do have that in there. And I said the two things I'm most concerned with is, number one, is our rural suicide issues and rates, because it's happening, and they're expecting that the smart people that study this stuff are expecting almost a tsunami of suicides in the next 2 or 3 years in the agriculture sector. But the second part I'm really interested in and concerned with is our suicides within our adolescents, our teens, our kids. Really concerned, and we've had several. We've had 2, I think, in the last month in the 13th district, or one was right on the edge, another one was in the 13th. So real concerned about that. So we do have a work group coming now, or be part of that 988 bill to see how we can tie the rural folks into that, because we are different. I mean, and how we communicate is different. And, you know, I realize the state of Washington is one Washington, but, you know, there's more than one culture here. And recognize that, I think, is very, very important, and provide that service for the people that, you know, I just hate that. And I've been affected by suicide in my family, in my life, and it's a terrible thing that never goes away. And, you know, I'm kind of passionate about trying to find a solution to that. And I know Senator Warnick is too. We've talked about it a lot. And I just found out Sunday that how we're gonna structure that work group within that Tina's bill. So I called Senator and I said, I want you to be part of that, because we need people that understand and have that passion. So, you know, I don't think about those things sometimes, but that's something I worked on, and I'm real passionate about that too. So I have too many passions, you know. So.
I appreciate you sharing that, though. I didn't know that, so I appreciate knowing that. And did you know that the state of Texas, their Secretary of Agriculture is suing the Biden administration for discrimination against white ag and farm workers and ranchers out of the big bill that came out that did not include funding for them?
Well, the Secretary of Agriculture in Texas is Sid Miller. And yes, I can believe that he's doing that. He's quite a fellow. I mean, I served with him on SARO, which is State Agriculture Rural Leaders, and it's a nationwide organization. And we're both on the SARO board. And he is, he's really a smart guy, and he gets a lot of things, but he is a character. So, an afternoon with Sid is an experience you'll never forget.
Appreciate you. Hey, Representative, I'm going to follow up with you with an appointment regarding the foster care system and share with you a situation that's came to my attention that's absolutely devastating. It shouldn't even be happening.
Okay.
It's in the courts right now, but the court, we'll talk about another time. I won't use the chamber time. But we definitely need to have that conversation and introduce you to the family that's being affected.
Absolutely. So, and I'd be willing to come over there if you want. So.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I hope I can, because I'm really tired of being at Moses Lake. So today was a real treat. I made some miles, saw some new country and other people. And
yeah. Well, when you come up here, we know you'll support our tourism and our hospitality restaurants and leave your money. So thank you very much.
I always do, don't I? Are we having any parades up there this year? Do we know?
Not that I'm aware of.
We're still planning on having the Pioneer Parade in July in Cleveland.
Cool.
Okay.
I know they're having the Wilbur Parade on May 22nd for sure. And then I know that Ephrata is planning on having their parade and in June sometime. So I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm pretty sure Senator Warnick will be with me. So
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Yeah, he drags me along.
yeah.
He drags both of us along.
Yeah, he
I
does.
heard him.
Well, I am
You
sorry.
don't have any
My internet just keeps coming and going, and so I'm missing part of what's being said, but I'm, I'm just like him. I want to come up and visit in person as soon as possible, even if
Yeah.
we have to sit around outside a picnic table or something. So,
Yeah, we're both vaccinated, so we're good.
Yep.
And if you won't, you're still welcome. If you weren't vaccinated, you're still welcome.
Well, I agree. I don't tell people they should do it. If they ask me my advice, I don't say that, but I will tell you that having had it, it's not any fun. And I think you would be well served if you wanted to be vaccinated, so you didn't have to go through what I did. So that's as close to telling you to get vaccinated as I'm ever going to get, because I think it has to be everybody's decision, right? It's your body. But I had no problem. Stick that needle in my arm. Let's get her done. So
Yeah, we've had
Yeah.
good success volunteering at our vaccination clinics up here. And also, what do you think as legislators then with WSU and those higher education coming out, making it mandatory to the kids? When you guys didn't have the opportunity to even pass legislation or actually be a part of the governor's process to make decisions instead of leaving it all in his hands.
I struggle with any kind of a mandatory direction on a vaccine because, like I said, it's your body, and whatever beliefs you might have, what you know, and there are some people that have reactions to some of this stuff, and I get that. So something like this, I would be real reluctant. I mean, I understood why we got the polio vaccine, when we were kids, and I get that. And the what was the other one we got was smallpox.
smallpox.
And I get that. I really get that part. But polio and smallpox is a little different than what this virus is. And my sister had polio, and we had friends that had polio, so we had a little better understanding and saw the devastating, something that they live with all their life. My sister has a leg that's shorter than the other one. A good friend of mine who just died last week, he had a leg that was a lot shorter than the other one, and he lived with that his whole life. So those are things maybe different than what we're faced with here. So like I say, I'd have a hard time make it a mandatory. I would, I recommend, take a hard look. My recommendation is take a hard look at it and think about what it's like. But I can tell you, having it and spending my 8 days in a hospital, it was no fun. And so that's why I got vaccinated. I don't want to do that again.
Yeah. And I did too. I didn't, I didn't catch COVID, but I did get the vaccinations, and I believe the same thing. Some people, it should be up to you and your doctor whether you get vaccinated, because some people are allergic to that type of stuff. So, and the reaction is too much. So anyway,
And there's some spiritual views in there too, you know, and we had that vaccine law or bill, was it last year or the year before? You know, there was so many people that came into my office and they were so opposed to that. And they talked about the different reasons, you know, religious views or different beliefs that they hold. Okay, and I get that. And that's part of our country is, you know, we are independent thinking society, and I think we should be allowed to do that. But you know, and I think if maybe there's something, like I said, the polio, maybe that should be. And I think we just did that. I don't even know if we had a choice. I think they just had this little cup with the pills in it. We took it, you know. But but we also had a president of the United States, you know, that had polio too, and so you know, he was in a wheelchair. And, you know, it was interesting because in those days, they never took a picture. That was the deal with the press. You don't take a picture of President Roosevelt in his wheelchair. That was taboo. And you did that, you were never be allowed there again, right? And but, you know, we all knew that he swam in that pool. And, you know, interesting is there's a lot of Olympic-sized pools in our schools around the country. And in the school of Harrington, there's an Olympic-sized pool that they have there, okay? And we just got some capital budget money from them a couple of years ago to update the pool and the pumps and the filters and all that stuff. But that pool was put in with money that basically came from the Roosevelt administration because he was such an advocate of swimming, because he could swim and his legs would work well enough to swim, you know, but he couldn't walk. So just, you know, that's some of this stuff is pretty far reaching, and it's kind of cool to go up to Harrington, look at the pool and know that that came out of the Roosevelt administration before we were even born. So anyway, I'm off on trivia stuff now. So now you're really in trouble, you guys.
Yeah.
History teacher.
Yeah. Any other questions or concerns? Okay. Well, like I said, I can't wait till we can all do this in person, sitting around a picnic table or somewhere, so we can do this outside. So, and
Thank you, Chambers.
for,
Yeah, thank you guys for attending tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that we caught Tom